Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Ratliff. I'm the Director of User Experience for Usability Sciences, and I'm pleased today to walk you through how we utilize Tableau to analyze our survey data. So let's get started. A little bit about Usability Sciences. We've been around since 1988, and we're one of the oldest usability companies in the world. We started out as a company analyzing and doing usability work on actually software applications. In the 90s, we switched our usability analysis to websites. And then in 2008, we continued to do websites, but we also added the addition of apps for tablets as well as smartphones. Our customer base is primarily Fortune 100 companies. I won't walk through all these companies, but we are involved in many industries as well as industries such as the healthcare and pharma, a lot of e-commerce sites, financial sites, manufacturing, and of course we have various partners that we also do work with. I'd like to talk a little bit about Attitudinal Analytics because it will help explain a little bit of our process of how we actually go about doing surveys, collecting the data, and doing the analysis. Attitudinal Analytics is a proprietary tool for us. It allows us to have intelligent surveys, and by that I mean we are able to understand the experience that a user has on a website. So we know where they go on the website and in which order they visit each aspect of the website. For this reason, we're able to have intelligent surveys. So we only ask questions to users who have experienced certain sections of the site. So if we're interested, say, for example, in a user that visited men's ties, if we have questions associated with that, we're not going to ask you those questions if you didn't actually experience that section of the site. So this tool allows us to not only ask survey questions, but to understand the user's experience or their path through the website, and it also allows us to see their page-by-page journey. Some of the things that we'll learn through this process is actually who's coming to the site, which is the demographics, which our clients are very much interested in. We also want to understand why did they come to the site. Did they come to purchase? Did they come to look for product details? And also how they felt about their experience. Were they successful or were they unsuccessful? As I mentioned, this is a proprietary software for us. Some of the things specifically that we want to learn are, for example, as part of the user experience, if they started the checkout process and didn't finish it, we want to understand why. This is, for e-commerce sites, a critical aspect of the journey. If they've gotten all the way through the site, they found what they wanted, they started the checkout process and didn't finish, we want to understand why they didn't finish and in what part of checkout they actually failed. So a little bit about life without Tableau. I'm happy to say that I was the champion for Tableau within Usability Sciences about 3.5 years ago. When I started with the company, I was doing analysis for them, and we lived in Excel. And I know that's an experience that a lot of you also have. What we were able to provide our clients with was basically a two-dimensional view of data. Also, in spending our time in Excel, we spent 80% of our time pushing data around and about 10% of our time doing analysis for our clients, and then another 10% generating static PowerPoints. This just really wasn't insightful for our clients. Although they learned a lot, the pressure on the analysts to try and do analysis in 10% of the time was very challenging. Life with Tableau has changed things for us dramatically. Now the analysts spend their time actually doing analysis in Tableau and coming up based on that analysis of giving our clients very insightful recommendations. And it also allows us now to have interactive sessions with our clients, and through these sessions we're able to not only dig into the details, we're able to develop an iterative process of improvement for our clients. So how does this impact our clients? First of all, client acquisition has changed dramatically. When we present to a client the first time, they're interested in survey data, but when they see what we can actually do with Tableau to dig down into the details of why their site is not functioning properly for their users, that gains us clients faster than any other method that we've tried in the past. Once we've acquired them as a client, we do things like present them with a user journey analysis. This is the journey that their users experience through the site and how that journey is either successful or unsuccessful, and what we can do to change their metrics to success metrics and also revenue generating. We also look at root cause analysis, which we'll look at in some of our dashboards today. One of the critical things that we do with our clients is an iterative, interactive process. So that's looking at dashboards interactively with them, and it allows us to focus on the most apparent or largest problems first and begin to then focus on lesser problems, but in all respects, there are problems that in most cases increase revenue for clients. And then, of course, client retention has been critical for us. In the old method of doing things in Excel with static PowerPoints, we would keep clients for a year. With Tableau, we're now able to engage with our clients in multi-year engagements. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the dashboards that we've prepared for today. The first one is actually a demonstration of demographics. This is pretty critical for our clients because even though they may understand or think they understand who's actually coming to their site, sometimes it's insightful that what they believe to be true isn't actually true. For example, in the very first graph, it talks about who's actually doing the shopping. And in this instance, it's that 60% of the people are shopping for their family. That's pretty critical because we find sometimes, particularly on e-commerce sites, that in the men's section, we're not quite sure initially before we start our research why the men's section may not be as successful as the women's section. When we understand that it's women shopping for men, it changes the whole nature of how information and products need to be presented. Again, we look at what kind of a device they're using. In this instance, 91% are using a laptop computer. This is significant for our clients because in almost every case, our clients have a specific budget on what they can spend for their sites, their platforms. And in this case, they can look at this and say, since 91% of our visitors are using a desktop to come to our site, we're going to focus more of our internal budget on this rather than on the smartphone, which is only 9%. Over time, that may change, but for today, it allows them to know where to focus their budget so it's the most impactful. Again, we give age demographics. This is critical because all sites are created and designed with a specific audience in mind. I'll give you an example. We had a client that believed their client base was 25 to 30-year-olds. And in actuality, it was 45 to 55-year-olds. They designed the site for the 25 to 30 to 35-year-olds, and they watched their metrics decline because they designed the site for the wrong demographic. We also look at the frequency of visits. It's very insightful for us to look at first-time visitors compared to reoccurring visitors. Their experiences are different. People who are faithful and are regular visitors to a site have a better experience because they've learned the site. And it's not maybe representative that the site works well. The first-time visitors really give us our clue as to how well the site functions from a usability perspective and from a process perspective. We also look at why people come to the site. And if you look at the type of a journey that we're going to look at in a minute, what we really want to understand is who's coming to the site, why are they coming to the site, are they successful? If they're not successful, why are they not successful? And then digging into the specific details and categories of why they're not successful. This then gives us indications as to how we recommend to our clients how to change the site so that it's a seamless experience for their users and improves the revenue generation for that website. In this case, 54% are coming to gather product information and 14% are coming to purchase products. We look at the sweet spot for intent with purchasing products. We know these are the individuals who are coming to the site to actually purchase. They're coming with money in hand. When they fail, we've actually lost money that was sitting on the table. That's not to say that people who come to gather product information aren't important as well. If they can't get the information they need, it's impossible to convert them to someone who wants to purchase. We also look at how people come to the site. Do they get there via a search engine? Do they come via email? In this instance, we wanted to look at the familiarity of competitors. In this case, Macy's was the primary competitor or the competitor that users were most familiar with compared to Dillard's. Then we also look at the sections of the site that are visited. In this case, 33% visit women's, 30% visit children's, and this correlates a little bit to what we saw with the 60% that shop for their family. Typically the shoppers, and I don't have gender on this slide, but I can tell you that the larger population is female for this scenario. So individuals coming to shop for their family, it makes sense that it's primarily women and children. So what I'd like to look at next is a dashboard that we've actually put together that shows, it's what we call our green light, red light view. And it gives our clients a quick view based on the overall success of their experience, the type of device they were using, age, and we can tell from this in each of these areas where success lies and where failure lies. The very first one is pretty critical. It's showing that 30% of those who experienced the site considered their experience a failure. This is the category or group of people that we're primarily going to focus on. But we're also going to look at areas, for example, the intent. We're going to look at failure by intent. Typically, that's one of our primary things that we want to look at because we want to understand the failure mode based on intent. If you look at purchasing products, the failure mode is 46%. That's very high. There's a huge opportunity there. So that area, focusing on that area, will give us our best opportunity for improving the site. Once we're able to make strides with purchasing products, we're then going to look at some of the other intent groups and understand what the failure mechanisms or modes are for those areas as well. We also look at competitor site familiarity and failure modes or the unsuccessful rate in those areas as well. Another thing I did want to point out on this slide, when we look at age, something that we typically see, and it doesn't seem to matter what the industry is or what the site, younger visitors tend to be more successful than older visitors. And that makes logical sense. Younger visitors, they've grown up with websites and computers. And sometimes even on a bad site, a younger user is much more adept at understanding how to probe that site and work around any usability issues. Older users are not going to tend to do that. And so their propensity, typically when they struggle with the website, is to leave the site and go elsewhere. Okay, the next dashboard I'd like to look at is one of our, probably one of our key dashboards that we review with customers. So we start with intent, and again, the primary intents here are gathering product information, those who come to purchase products, individuals looking for promotions or contests, sales and clearance items, and to locate a store. So in this scenario, because we believe those coming with the intent of purchasing are really the target audience that we're interested in, we're going to click on that. And in this scenario, I pretty much am just going to display most of the dashboard. If you'll notice here, these individuals who rated the site a 1, 2, or 3, 4 is basically neutral. A lot of times our clients ask us to rate that or color it red because they feel like a neutral experience is very close to a failed experience. In this instance, though, if you look at the fact that 26% of the users rated the site as a 1, that's not just saying that they had a failed visit. That's almost leaning towards, I not only had a failed visit, but I'm really unhappy. So this is the group of individuals that we really want to focus on first, because a lot of individuals who rate a site as a 1 are not coming back. So we've lost them in this instance, and we've also lost them with the potential for future visits and additional revenue. So when we look at this, the first thing that we're going to look at are the different failure modes. For example, the first one here is finding my way to what I wanted was difficult. 38% of the people had that experience. And we know from the many analysis that we do for clients that this can mean a number of things. It can mean that the navigation on the site was such that they weren't able to use the top navigation or the side navigation to actually navigate to a product they were looking for. It can also mean that the organization of the site was such that it was very difficult for them to find something. For example, maybe someone's looking for a yellow polo shirt. They get to the shirt section and they're faced with a sea of all different kinds of shirts without any way of filtering. And by filtering, I mean requesting that they want to see only long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts, only polo shirts. So there's no way to sort those products by type, by manufacturer or brand, and there's no way to filter sometimes even by a sale item or price. So this can mean a number of things. Search was not productive. So it makes sense that if 38% of the people were unable to successfully navigate to a product, their next attempt would probably be to search for the product using the search field. And if this is unsuccessful, now you've got over 70% of your users that can't find what they're looking for either by navigation and organization and filtering, and they also are unable to find their product using the search tool. The other thing that occurs in these two categories is that some users, for example, they're looking for a polo shirt and they have the polo shirt already. They know Polo carries it, but yet they can't find it. So that by brand is an indicator as well that I know they carry it, but I just can't find it on your site. It's very frustrating for users. So the other question that we ask of these failed users is, if you could change one thing, what would it be? It's not a surprise that 45% said process-related suggestion. So it's the process of actually finding products. And then 18% said product-related suggestion. So now that we understand in a categorical sense what the failures are, we begin to dig down into open text comments. So now we've understood that these people who have come to purchase have failed. We know categorically why they fail. Now we want to understand within those categories what the specific types of failures are. So in this instance, we're looking at people who use a desktop computer, and then these are the failure specifics, and these match with the failure specifics that you see in this group over here. So finding the product I wanted was difficult, search was not productive, product information was inadequate, and then problems with checkout. So for example, one of the open text comments was, I couldn't find a way to get at the promotion codes that obviously exist for my product, but were not successful in finding. Let's see. No place I've gone is as expensive as this, even if I saved shipping by store pickup. So, and if you start to glance through a lot of these open text comments, one of the things that you'll notice is that there are a lot of comments related to price. That's a big finding. Our recommendation in that instance would be for them to do comparative testing or comparative analysis compared to other websites to try and level the playing field. We also, in the suggested changes, we took these categories and then also looked at individual comments. For example, make it easier to find out if you carry certain brands, so I don't waste my time looking for products you don't have. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is that sometimes when people can't find things, the correct filters aren't in place. In this case, what this user is asking for is to be able to filter, for example, for shirts based on brand. I'd make the products easier to see close up and make black products easier to see. In this instance, this is a product-related suggestion where they don't have enough information to actually make a purchase decision. We know now that when customers want to see a product that they're getting ready to purchase, they want to see a product in a 360 view. They want to see the front, the back. If it's a purse, they want to see the stitching on a purse. So images have become a critical component of successful purchases online. Let's see. Upfront display of promo codes. Don't make me chase around the web. So here again, one of the things people come and look for is sale and clearance items and promotion codes. These people are telling them, I cannot find these promo codes. So all of these open text questions, what we do with this is we read through the open text questions to get insights and to understand the type of threads that we see. And so, for example, we worked with a client, and the primary failure mode was that price was not on the site. So the client really wanted this to be an informational site and not a price site. Well, unfortunately, they said, well, let's just not worry about price. Tell us what else is wrong with the site. It was difficult to do that because the failure of having price on the site was such a deterrent for users. They didn't really care about any of the other issues on the site. Until they got price on the site, which they eventually did, it did not unveil the underlying problems that existed in addition to price until price was resolved. And this is and also an example of the iterative process that we go through with clients. We look through open text comments, we categorize failure modes, we have them fix their most pressing issues first, and then begin to just dig deeper, cross the data in different ways. Also, in looking at a lot of these questions, it gives us insights into what additional questions we need to ask in order to provide additional value for our clients. The other thing we do with clients, with our users, is we want to know what they're going to do next. And these are particularly, again, we're just looking at those who had a failure rating of 1. So we have 50% that will come to the site later, some will go to customer service, some will visit another website. And in this instance, we ask them, if you're going to visit another website, which one would it be? In this instance, the primary site they would visit would be Macy's. And that makes sense based on our earlier graph that we looked at, where we saw Macy's was the primary competitor that their users were familiar with. So if I click on Macy's, the next thing that we'd ask is, if Macy's would be the next site you would visit or your preferred site, how does Macy's actually compare with Dillard's? And in here, they're going to give you insights, really good insights into why Macy's site is better than the Dillard's site. Example, the Macy's site is easier to navigate, and it's way less cluttered. 2 key indicators right there just in one comment. One, their navigational structure is not right, and visually, if there's too much on a page, users are totally overwhelmed and unable to actually find what they're looking for or navigate through the site. Easy to use search and good filters. We talked about filters earlier. When users are faced with a product selection of 500 products, they don't want to sort or they don't want to have to scroll through page after page to find what they're looking for. They want left-hand navigation with filters based on size, color, brand, and type. I don't remember having so much trouble finding replacement linens last time I was here. Another great indication that maybe they've made changes to the site recently that did not work well. More simple access, less data on the first page. Again, another indication that the home page is too cluttered. Simple links. Excuse me. This user journey can be used in many ways. So this type of a journey allows us to get to root cause, and analytically, based on our knowledge of best practices for usability on websites, we combine our knowledge with the data that we're getting here to make recommendations for our clients on what changes they need to make to the website for increases in revenue. And again, on this page, we still have the option of clearing all of this and taking a look at some of the other intents and what the failure modes are for those intents and dig into those details. So even just with this one dashboard, there's so much information that can be presented to the client that this is a dashboard that we can give to our clients with the reader, and they have access to it. We refresh their data on a regular basis and allows them to continue to look at the data as they make changes to their website. Okay, the next dashboard, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this dashboard. I wanted to show one of the things that we do that's impactful for our clients. It's what we call the purchase funnel. So if we look at the top bar, these are the people who actually got to a product detail page. So they drill down far enough to find an individual product. These are the individuals who added it to a wish list. These are the individuals who actually added a product to their bag. These individuals entered checkout, and these are the individuals who actually reached a confirmation page or concluded an actual purchase. So one of the things that we can do here is when someone is in the purchase funnel, let's say they get to entering something in their bag and they exit the site. Because our survey and our technology is intelligent, we know they just left the site while they were in the purchase funnel. We immediately interject a question that says, we noticed you started checkout, but you didn't finish. Can you help us understand why? This particular funnel and understanding at each of these steps why people bail is critical to our clients. These are the people who already have spent the time to find a product, but yet did not purchase. So in each of these instances, when you click on any of these bars, again, it will present open text comments to give you insights into exactly why they bailed. So didn't match my ideas for a college graduate gift, far too much money for what it is, can't see myself paying full fare here when I can get a free bottle of perfume with the same purchase elsewhere. So in this instance, this is rich with open text comments to understand why individuals who started the checkout process did not finish. The next section is regarding categories. One of the things that we also like to do as far as analysis for our clients is understand the success of users based on the sites or the sections of the site that they visit. In this instance, we look at the top content areas, women's, children's, shoes, and we want to begin to understand in each of those sections how successful visitors are. So if we click on women, we can now see that accessories is very unsuccessful. And one of the things that we can do here is dig into the details for accessories, or we also have the option of introducing what we call a spot survey. And everyone who goes to accessories that bails from that page will introduce a question and ask them, how can we improve the accessory section so that it's more enticing for you to spend time there as well as purchase. So I'm going to women. And here again, we get category level feedback. And we've done a little bit of something that's different on this one. The previous dashboard actually showed a user journey. In this case, we've taken it one step farther. So if I click on this first open text comment here, it says, can't make head nor tail of how to find more than one underarm polo on your site. So if I click on this, it now will update and tell me exactly the pages that this visitor frequented. I think it's still refreshing. So in the page sequence area, it's not appearing, but in this section, it would actually show the page sequence that the user experienced going to the website, and it would show it in the order in which the user experienced the website. And I can tell you in a lot of instances, this is insightful, and I'll give an example. We had a client that had users that really were struggling to find a particular component on their website. And it was a pretty popular component, so a lot of people were looking for it. And in one instance, the comment was, I feel like I'm in an endless loop. when we clicked on that user comment and displayed the page sequence, we could actually see the loop that they were experiencing. And because we could see that loop, the client was able to go in and say, now I understand what the problem is. So the page sequencing and understanding the actual path that the user goes through in conjunction with the failure modes and the open text comments allows us to provide extreme value to our clients in solving problems that have existed for them. And in this case, the problem had existed for 6 months. So the next section I want to look at is actually looking at the section based on brand. And so in this instance, we've got Michael Kors, Ralph Lauren, Levi's, a lot of brands that you're familiar with. So let's go ahead and click on Michael Kors and then click on the failure rate for Michael Kors, which is 58%. And again, here, one of the things that's key for our clients in looking at specific failures by brand is that it typically reveals not just problems with the brand, but also problems with the website. So, for example, the first comment was zero value in showing that video. So it gives, sometimes our clients spend a lot of money putting videos on the website. If they get feedback from clients, enough clients that say the videos aren't valuable to us, they won't spend their resources producing those videos. Let's see. Can't find the MK watch I have. And in this instance, the user doesn't know whether the watch really exists on the site or whether they just don't carry it on the site. So this is a prime example for our client where we can say, if you have the watch on your site, you need to be able to add the correct filters so that users can get to that watch successfully. If you don't carry the watch and there are enough people that want it, you need to consider adding it to the portfolio on the website. Complete waste of time to scroll through everything looking for sale items. Here again, this speaks to the filters that we talked about previously. So one of the things that we discover as we look through all this data is reoccurring themes. And in this instance, we noted that there were people who experienced failures who were trying to find sale items, trying to find promotion codes. This solidifies or confirms that it truly is a problem. Could not find any sizing info on a buckle ring. This speaks to the product detail. So when users are getting ready to make a purchase, they want to understand what's the material made out of. They want enough detail so that they can make a purchasing decision. Could not find exact dimensions of chain ring. So these are all things that some of it is pertaining to usability. Other aspects of it actually pertain to the product detail, which is a form of usability because without the correct information, users can't make a educated decision. Okay, and the last dashboard I'd like to look at has to do with the impact of the site experience. So when users come to the website, we ask them, what is your overall impression of Dillard's? And since most people are familiar with Dillard's, they haven't experienced the site yet, but we can ask them on a scale of 1 to 7, what's your overall experience or overall thoughts on Dillard's? They rate it 1 to 7. They experience the site. We ask the question again in the exit questions, now that you've experienced the site, how would you rate Dillard's? And in this instance, all of the yellow arrows, which diagonally cross-section this graph, all of these yellows indicate the user had no change. So if they rated a 6 on the way in, they rated it as a 6 after experiencing the site. All of the greens are showing those who actually increased their impression of Dillard's after experiencing the site. And then everything in red are those who actually had a decrease or decline in their view of the site. So if we take a look at, let's say, for example, these users, now we can dig into all of these users who actually had a negative experience on the site. Who were they? 95% were shopping for themselves. This gives you the age group of those who had a declining experience. It shows the frequency. And then we've also got open text comments. Most of these individuals that have this decline in their impression of dealers after experiencing the site, if you notice, 79% of those were coming to purchase products. So these particular individuals are a gold mine in trying to find out how can we change the site so that when they experience the site, it improves their impression of dealers rather than decreasing their impression of dealers. And then we also look at how they've gotten to the site. So I hope that in looking at all these dashboards, it gives you a good idea of how we take survey data, how we analyze the user experience through a website, commingle this information, cross-section the data, filter the data in order to provide our clients with insightful recommendations on how to improve their site and how to make more money. I appreciate your time today, and have a good afternoon.